Hello, my name is Ana Pistoria. I'm a destination wedding photographer from Coimbra, Portugal. You're listening to the Workflows Photography Podcast.
Well, Koko, I've been looking forward to this for some time, and this is going to be a really fun conversation that I think a lot of people are going to walk away with some good nuggets of information, some inspiration and whatnot. You know, for those who don't know your work, I am going to describe how I think your work, the vibe that it gives me, and then I'd like for you to share your perspective of what you're going for with your work, right? With the weddings you photograph.
Okay.
So for me, when I look at your work, I see some, I'm going to say standard wedding photos, right? But then I see a lot of whimsical, going for the creative side of things more than just like what every wedding photographer tries to deliver, right? Going from, you're sort of doing both. You're giving what people expect.
Yeah.
And then you're giving this whimsical, more creative, artsy photos as well. And that's how I would describe what I see is the combination of standard and whimsical. And so that's why I was curious how you would describe your work, because I find that when one person describes it versus the actual artist, there sometimes is an overlap, and sometimes it's completely not. So I'm so curious.
I mean, it's interesting because I don't think anyone's ever asked me this question, but I've also never done a podcast about my work. I've done like an interview about like editing style, but I've never been asked this question. Yeah, like whimsy, probably yes. So all I know is when my partner Robert and I got into weddings 3 years ago, we recognized that there was a little bit of a gap in the market. I don't know about globally, but certainly locally, I would look at things and I was a little bit bored in the lack of adventurous quality that the photos were being taken in. Like it was just everything kind of looked the same, which isn't a bad thing because there's a lot of beauty in just preserving the day appropriately and making sure that you photograph a wedding in a certain way so that the viewpoint feels appropriate. But then I also realized that there's parts in the day that do and should feel a little bit more like whimsical or fun, artistic, moody, all of these things. And so when doing photography for the weddings, honestly, I was like, okay, well, yes, let's provide the standard photos, but with that, let's make sure that even the standard photos offer a little bit of variation. And typically, even the standard photos, I have like a rule of thumb. It's called TML, so texture, movement, or lighting. So even like a standard photo, like say it's just a couple's portrait, I still want it to be lit beautifully so that there is some visual interest even within that standard frame. Or maybe it's a standard frame, but like we'll lower the shutter down to 1/40 or 1/60 so that there's a little bit of a pulse in the photo. So even our standard photos, I still find have a little bit of whimsy or allure to them just to create a less of a disconnect between like the weird and the wonderful and the standard. Because even the standard is still a little bit weird, like a little bit different. But honestly, like, yeah, I would say like, I don't even know, like standard whimsy. Yeah. Like it's interesting because like I'm really loud and almost like manic in my energy sometimes, but I find our photos are pretty calm and serene and beautiful and maybe like thought provoking. And I actually find it to be a lot different than my personality. Like my personality is very like, wah! But then my photos are like, yeah, like it's like standard whimsy, you know, making sure that you preserve the day, but offering visual interest for the people that hire you that do have an appreciation for art, creativity, and something unique and that will help separate their day from possibly their peers or other people. Yeah. Because it
Yeah,
can't be all weird.
Of course. And I think having that, like you said, slowing the shutter down just a hair to give it that extra something that's more you, but still having the standard, right? And I'm using air quotes, the standard look of a wedding photo, just with that little flavor, and then giving the almost opposite end where it's even more you, I think is a really good balance to be able to give to your couples. And I think I'm pretty confident, even without knowing your couples, that they're finding you and hiring you because of what you're doing, right? They see it, they know, oh, I want that. It's not what Joe Schmo down the street is doing, and it stands out, and it's more us, and it's more fun, and so I think I love it. I mean, your work is so good. It's so fun to browse and whatnot. So I can only imagine what a wedding album looks like.
Well, I'm very honest with what a final album looks like. I have on Instagram like a subscriber group, and I share frequently full albums because I don't want people to put our brand on a pedestal or think that, like, this is a huge concern that I actually have when clients book us, because it's mostly hiring through Instagram. And I don't want them to think that a full album looks like my Instagram, because my Instagram is like 90% weird and like 10% standard, whereas a final deliverable is about 70% standard and 30% weird. So whenever I book clients, like I actually give them, it's called a sample album, and it's one album that holds like 30 folders, and it's just 400 to 500 photos from a bunch of different weddings that we've done, so they can actually see the diversity of our skill. Because we have a lot of people who they love moodiness, and it's like November in Canada and it's like a dark venue. But then you have people who are on a beach under harsh sunlight, or maybe you're outside around a bunch of green, or you're in the city and there's a bunch of blue. So I don't want people to hire us based off of like one album. And candidly, this sample album that I provide to them is some of our best weddings and some of like our not better weddings from like when we started. Like I'll show them like, hey, this is kind of my best, but then, hey, this is kind of the worst. But even the worst isn't bad. But like I get very afraid as a service provider and an artist to set too high of an expectation. And it's almost like, what's the saying? Like undersell,
over deliver.
Yeah, that. Yeah. Like I almost like be like, hey guys, yes, this is my Instagram. Thank you for inquiring. Here is the sample album, or here's a bunch of full albums, because I do want you to see that it's not all weird. And thankfully, it actually works to our advantage, because a lot of the times people will say, hey, I love your stuff, but do you do these standard photos, air quotes? Do you do vibrant colors instead of muted tones? And I'm like, oh my, like, holy shit, yes. Like, so much so. Like, I know how to take an in sharp photo. Like, I know. Like, we have a very diverse skill set, and I do on Instagram only showcase almost like one level to it. But it's intentional, because I do want us to stand out. And it's almost like that's the type of people I curate our grid to attract a certain type of client. And then from there, we have the conversation of thank you, but also no, we do the normal stuff.
Right. You mentioned something really interesting that I wasn't expecting to dive into, but we're going to do this. Instagram is your primary lead and booking source, which is really interesting. So obviously you already mentioned you're using this like private group chat, right, in there for everything you just mentioned. But are there any third-party, not made by Meta tools that you're using to help with your Instagram growth and engagement and things like that have played like a pivotable? What's the word? Vital. I'm going to go with the word vital. A vital role in your success on Instagram.
No, I mean, I will discuss the sequence of our growth in this industry, and I'll finish off on why we only use Instagram. And this isn't to sound like cocky or showboating. I think it's just to help ensure that people have more confidence to be creative. So I started photography during COVID. 5 years ago, I had never picked up a camera in my life. And within the first few months, I was photographing like fitness competitors, and I was able to turn it into like a 6-figure career within like a few months. And then I did that for 2 years, and then I got bored of it, like doing a lot of fitness photo shoots and working with some models and doing some like jewelry campaigns and stuff. And then when a friend asked me to photograph a wedding, and I had never even been to a wedding, did our first weddings, and then I realized, oh, like this is that if we do weddings, there's a huge space to fill. So I started a wedding Instagram, and I just started posting the images that I like. So like moody and weird, but from that, it started to get a lot of traction within the wedding space, but only from photographers. So like it was only photographers coming to my page and being like, oh, wow, like I love that this is amazing, and kind of using our Instagram as a source of inspiration, which is lovely. But at the same time, I'm like, this isn't going to pay my bills. Like photographers aren't going to pay my bills. If I continue in this direction, I have to try to appeal to clients. But I didn't really know how, because I was selfish in the sense that I didn't want to break from how I was posting. Like I didn't want to start posting the basic stuff. So I just kept posting the weird stuff. But what's crazy is all these photographers ended up like resharing my work on their Instagram. So what happened is our popularity within this space specifically grew because our peers were like coming to our page, finding inspiration, and then posting about it. And then I guess clients that were on their page would see our stuff. So then our business started to grow because clients started to find us. And it's all been through Instagram, and it's all been through other artists sharing our work that we've been like discovered by clients. But like, I think we've been hired like twice by like a planner, maybe 3 times. Otherwise, it just comes from like Instagram inquiries that go to our website. But it's all been, the growth of our business has been because of other photographers. Like even we photographed the Ambani pre-wedding in June, and that's like the richest wedding in history. And the only reason that happened is the person who booked us found us through like Lenzel. Like Lenzel, I feel like everyone knows who Lenzel is. And he posted a video of like 2024 photographers to watch. And all of these accolades or success that we've had within a short period of time has only come through Instagram. And it's only come from other photographers coming to our page and drawing inspiration from it and being excited and sharing it. And it's been great so far. So because of that, if it's not broke, like why fix it? Like if there's a lull in business, then I'm sure we'll do the SEO stuff or I don't even know what else you can do. Like start schmoozing with planners. Like I'll start to schmooze. I'll start to like, I don't know. But like until that happens, Instagram, it's been working. It's been insane. Yeah, it's been working. So I'm like, I don't know what else to do.
What's your workflow like for scheduling your Instagrams? Are you doing a daily post? You're doing a couple times a week? What's that look like?
So, I mean, grid curation is something I'm like really passionate about because it's something that transpires onto your website and into a final deliverable for a client. So in terms of visually, I do plan colors and posts almost like seasonal. Like right now I'm in like my blues and my tan era, but it's appropriate for the summertime. For posting, if someone said, I'll buy you a lottery ticket every time you post on Instagram, people would fucking post. Sorry, can I swear? I don't know if I can swear.
Yeah, I can mark it as explicit.
People would post all the time because like you have no idea what will get engagement, what won't, what will get shared, what won't. There's been so many times where I didn't want to post a photo, but I would post it in a story and I noticed it got a lot of attention in a story. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Maybe I should post it on my wall. And then I'll do a wall post and it blows up. So sometimes I don't even trust my own judgment, but you have no idea what will get you a client and what won't. So like post as much as you can. Like whether it's a carousel or just like a single image, you have no idea the opportunities that can come. So like I'm a huge advocate on posting a lot. I think now I do probably 3 times a week. And it's kind of one of those things, I don't really plan it. If I wake up and I'm in the mood to like look at my photos and figure out which one I want to post, but I kind of just go with the day. Like I'm not going to make a post if it's like a busy day. Sometimes if I'm actually like mindful of who my clientele base is. So in Canada, if it's like a national holiday, I can think, okay, everyone will be at home eating dinner. Maybe they're going to be full. They'll be on their couches at 8 p.m. tonight. You know, I'm going to make a post while they have like full turkey bellies. I don't know, like trying to understand people's behavior on social media. But yeah, it's kind of just like wabi sabi, but I am a firm believer in posting as much as you can because you have no idea the opportunities that those posts will do for you.
Right. When it comes to the reels, are you putting them together yourself? Are you using something like Social Templates Co to make it easy? How's that? What does that look like?
So I think left to my own devices, if I have the time, I'd be able to MacGyver some good videos, but I just don't have the time or the brain power. So I actually have a friend who recently has like quit her job and she's trying to get more into like the video making, like what's it called? Content creating kind of world. So we actually plan out sessions where she'll come to a wedding and we plan out what we want to do videos of. And because like for my subscriber group, even every Tuesday, I post a new educational video. So I post to there and then I post to my reels and we kind of plan out what we want to do probably like every quarter in advance. But she does it for me because she's got the jingles, she's got the font. She knows how to splice and dice things together.
Yeah. So you're outsourcing it to somebody you trust that's now specializing in that. And,
yes.
You know, because as a photographer, yes, you're getting success on Instagram, but you don't have to do everything yourself, right?
Yes.
So,
yeah. And it's built, she's built into the budget. Like it's one of those things initially I think I was kind of stubborn about, but I recognize that if you're only... It's like when I started photography and I was doing like trying to do editing and retouching on my photos. I'm like, this is its own separate career. Like this is someone's career. Yeah. Why with half that education or talent would I try to replace? Like there's just times in the business where you really have to spend money and let someone else do it because they're better at it than you are.
Yep.
Like it's their job. It's their career. They're proficient and skilled in it. And you're only like mildly. So what are you doing?
Right. Exactly.
Budget is
on that note, let's shift for a second into one of the things that's working well in your workflow besides Instagram. You know, you and I were talking about a couple of things that are working well. We're going to skip the second one because we just talked Instagram, which is working extremely well, and I love that. But I do want to bring up, because now we're talking about money, we're talking about outsourcing. You mentioned taxes, right? Let's dig into that a bit, because that is a topic that love it or hate it, we all have to deal with it. Yeah, right? And yeah. So talk to me about that. Now you're you've got income coming through, you're outsourcing to you're outsourcing to Imagine for editing, you're outsourcing to your friend for the social media, help there. How is this working in the tax world for you?
Right? I mean, I think like one thing I'm really a firm believer is talking about like taboo things or things that everyone has fears about. And yet there's this almost like level of like pretentiousness or I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I recognized it early when I came into the business, which is like why I share albums. I talk like tips and tricks. Like I talk about like all the things that happen behind closed doors that are happening and no one talks about it. I'm like, I know I'm not alone here. Like what is going on, people? And so prior to doing photography, I was a tattoo artist and I worked for myself. So I knew what it was to be air quotes, a business owner. But one of the things recently that I did for myself was incorporating my business and paying myself a salary. And when it comes to like contractors, like my video girl, it's, she's getting paid out from the business. And like, that was a huge step because it was a whole world that I didn't know about. And definitely by doing that, because I was doing my taxes for myself previously, but with incorporating, I was like, this is a whole new scary world. And it gives me so much like anxiety and stress. And I just want to take a nap and have a drink. It's such an intimidating space. So I was like, okay, well, I'll hire a professional. And the hardest thing was just switching, and QuickBooks. I'd never used QuickBooks. I was just I was a manual receipt girl. I was calculating, I'm a very pen to paper, 1970s, my whittled pencil. I'm just very tactile. So even QuickBooks was a huge thing, but at the end of the year, even though you're spending more money on the business, whether it's paying for editing, whether you're paying someone to do your videos, whether you're paying a tax person, you save more on your own taxes at the end of the year. And even just wrapping my head around that took me a while. I'm like, what do you mean? If I'm spending more money on these service providers, and then I'm carry the 2 divided by the 1 minus the 3. But yeah, finally, as I feel like I'm adulting appropriately.
Right. So also having an accountant on my end, I know that she's send me an email if you've got a question about something that's happening and you don't know how to, where to log it, whatever. Is that the level you're at with your accountant that's helping with your taxes, where you're just if you got an unknown, you're just shooting it at that person and being like, what do I do with this?
1,000%. And that service does cost more than just standard accounting. Almost, I forget what the wording is on it, but it's for my peace of mind and knowing at the end of the year, I can't swear, my stuff is where it needs to be. Even when we travel, I'm okay, well, what's the tax if I'm if this is billed from the States, or if we were in Mexico, does this tax a thing? What? There's so many questions. Not every day. I'm not that annoying, but at the end of the week, I might have a few questions that I have to send off to them, because if it wasn't that, I wouldn't know if I'm doing things properly. I assume as the years progress, I will have less and less questions, and it will just be a lot more simplified. Yeah. But there is always a huge learning curve when you start anything, and especially why don't they teach you this in school, man? This is crazy.
Yeah.
I hope you teach your daughter these things.
So I have a degree in photography technology, and I had to take Small Business 101. That was the one business class I had to take.
That's great.
And I literally went to the first class, went to the last class, and took the final exam and passed with an A.
Oh my God.
That's how simple that entire class was, the entire semester.
Yeah.
I've always said if I could go back, I wouldn't get a degree in photography. I'd get a degree in business. And
right? Yeah, I don't have any post-secondary education. I don't even know if I graduated high school. There's this ongoing joke because I never received a diploma and I never went to my graduation. But it is this is what I hear all the time. Even when people do, people ask, oh, how'd you learn photography? And for me, the way that I learn, I'm very visual. So using online educational tools like YouTube and just even going out and being very hands-on was perfect for me. But it's crazy. It's crazy that you go to school for things and there's almost this expectation to be taught, common sense stuff the just taxes or having your own business. And it's not. And it's absolutely bizarre and kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
What do they want you to be successful, or because they struggled, they're upset and now they want you to struggle? It's crazy to me. As much as I can help someone if they have questions, friends or peers, I'm ask, because I've struggled. I know what it's like. And instead of spending a month trying to figure something out, I can help you in 4 seconds if I can.
Yep.
It's crazy.
I love that. Yeah, it is a shame that in a formal education you don't learn these type of things. Even just the if in college they even said, hey, you're gonna start a business when you graduate. If you start a business, find an accountant. Like, they don't even tell
Right?
you that.
No, right? Like just a very simple suggestion. Like I have a lot of friends locally that I help with photography. Like they're just learning and they'll say like, hey, what should I do with my taxes at the end of your year? I'm like, hire an accountant. They're like, oh, but I can do it for like $20. I'm like, it is on your own. I'm like, it is not worth the stress, the mental load. I'm like, and you will do it wrong. Like you are not proficient in this area. And unless you are, I really encourage people to outsource and hire professionals. Like, yes, be a strong, independent woman, but at the same time, hire a professional when the situation allows for it. Like it's just it's crazy.
My favorite thing that my accountant does around tax time is when I'm sitting down with her and she starts throwing questions at me because home studio, right? And there's tons of stuff that's a write-off.
Yeah.
And it's like things that I wouldn't be thinking about, right? So
square footage, this.
Yep.
Home renos, that.
There's so many things that could be a part of it. So I'm glad that you've got your tax situation working well in your workflow. It's so important. So let's dive into what is not working well and that you're currently working on to streamline a little bit better. You mentioned that you travel a lot for your work. You're not only shooting weddings in Canada, and even if you are in Canada, Canada is quite large, just like the U.S. So, what is not working well regarding all of that?
Travel bookings. I'm the worst. Especially when it comes to hotels, because I'm pretty sure everyone knows, obviously. Okay, say we book a wedding right now for June 2026. Mm-hmm. It's on this weekend. Say it's in Toronto, it's 4 hours away. I always stay in a hotel. So say it's on the the second. I know in my head, okay, Koko, you're going to be driving, staying the first, shooting on the second, leaving the third. So you have to get a hotel on the first and second. Like I know this is common knowledge. Mm-hmm. And yet, instead of booking it, 9, 6 months, a year in advance, it'll be like a week out and I'll be like, oh crap, I need to book the hotel. And instead of paying, like $250 Canadian a night, whatever it might be, I'm now $600 a night because I've waited to the last moment. But more recently, I've given Robert that responsibility because, again, I'm an independent woman and a business owner, and in my head I'm like, oh, I should be able to do all these things. But there's times when you really need to recognize your shortcomings, and if you can, give that role to someone else.
Yeah. So
even if sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, even if I didn't have Robert, I would probably try to pay, I'd pay a friend or something, because in my head, I'm like, to book early, I would save this amount of money. So if I paid even just a friend who's competent to do this,
So what I would have said is three different areas you could have gone, right? You obviously went with one, and one of them was you have a life partner who's also a business partner, and maybe he, like you said, maybe he's stronger in that area than you are, right? You've got your strengths, he's got his strengths, and maybe he's going to do better for that, right? And that's fine. An alternative would have been if you didn't have a business partner, right? Mm-hmm. An alternative would be the moment you book, right? The moment that contract's signed, I'm shooting this wedding on June 1st, whatever it was that you said. You go to Apple Reminders on your phone, or if you're an Android, whatever, and you say, remind me on this day to book hotel for this so-and-so's wedding. Now your phone's yelling at you 6 months in advance to book the wedding, right? And the third way is similar to what you said about hiring a friend. But my suggestion for those who are listening to this and are like, I'm in the same boat, what the hell do I do? Find a travel agent. The same way that you might get an accountant, find a travel agent that will basically work for your business. You don't pay a travel agent. It's the hotels and the airlines and whatnot that pay the travel agent through commissions and stuff. So a travel agent that you can be like, okay, I have a wedding booked here. Make sure I have something ready to go.
Yeah.
You know,
we recently used a travel agent and it was great. I didn't actually like realize, like in my head, travel agents were like a luxury thing at like a high price point. And basically, you know, she asks like, what do you want to spend? And then she gives you options within that price point. Because my problem was I was setting the Google Apple reminders and I would just like silence them because like I'm so busy. And what happens is they come up when I'm doing something and I'm like, oh, whatever. And it gets pushed back, blah, blah, blah. But the travel agent is a great idea because recently, like, I was like, this is incredible. Like, they just take care of everything. Like, we had like private transfers, like hotel flights. And basically, it's like, this is my budget. Make it work.
Yeah.
And they do. It's incredible.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. My wife and I we got married in 2011. And for our 10th wedding anniversary, we wanted to bring our kids back to where we got married in Mexico. Ooh. And that long passed because that anniversary was during the pandemic. And we were not going to Mexico during the pandemic. So as we're approaching 14 years now, this summer, and now we're planning for our 15th to go somewhere.
Oh.
And
in Mexico?
Our plan is contact a travel agent and be like, we've got 2 kids. They'll be this age and this age. We want to go somewhere where it's all inclusive. Find us something. Let them figure it out.
I'm going to send you my travel agent contact because she was actually she was our like Mexico travel agent. She was incredible. So if you don't have one, I'm sending you a link.
Nice.
It's great because you just don't have to think. You don't have to think.
Yeah. Yep. And we actually use a travel agent for our wedding too. And every guest, all the guests had to do was call or email the travel agent we use at the time.
Right.
And everybody was just like, show up. It was nice.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, again, they're professionals in their space, and it's probably like a dying business because of like Expedia and all of these things. And I think there's like a misconception. I mean, I had the misconception about travel agents and thinking that it was like a more expensive option. But Robert is very not frugal, but he loves data and information. So like even when we worked with the travel agent, he would compare like on Expedia the price point, and with her it was actually cheaper. So we didn't have to do any work and it was cheaper. And we could still like Robert loves points. He loves Amex. That's why like I let him do one of the book. He's like loves the points.
Yep. I don't blame him.
Yeah, same. I do as well now. He's taught me the ways. But so he's still able to like get his points, but it's like no work. But yeah, that's another thing though too. Like especially if you have like a business Amex, like the amount of like perks that you can get, and especially if you fly a lot. Like we've flown, what do you call it? Like first class, business class, like in pods so many times this year because of his points. And I'm like there and I'm like, ooh, I'm sipping on my mimosa and I feel fancy. I'm not fancy at all, but because of the points, I'm now feeling fancy.
That's so funny. I love it. I have one more question for you that I was not anticipating asking, but you said a lot of stuff early on that like is resonating. You were a tattoo artist. Now you are a photographer. Can you give a brief, like, any advice that you can give to either a photographer who's now getting into photography from something else, or maybe a photographer that photographed weddings is now moving into a different genre in the photo industry? Some sort of advice to those who might be shifting what they're doing day to day.
To be in a position for moving from one thing to another is actually the best position to be in because you have a safety net. You have so whenever someone makes this shift, it's always fear that stops people. So for example, when I was tattooing, that was a lot of money, and to do photography, it forced me to start charging a premium because I'm like, why would I take a day away from being in the photography studio to be in a photography studio if it's not making me the same amount of money? So automatically it allowed me to put my price at, what I was worth, but also what I was making. And so the number one suggestion would be to price yourself accordingly. Just because you're starting something doesn't mean you're lesser than other people or you're not worth that amount of money. Also, like think about it. Say you're on a trip and you're walking down a street and you see a handbag and the handbag's $20. You might look at it, but you'd be like, oh, it's a little bit cheap. But it might not actually even be the quality of the purse. It's just the price point that you allude for it to being cheap. And then, 20 minutes later, you're primed already because you know what you like, and you see a purse and you're like, it's $200. And you might be like, oh, this is just like that other one, but it's better, so I'm going to buy it. It's probably the exact same purse, but it's the price point that alludes to it being like better quality. So number one, like price yourself accordingly, and like price yourself kind of high. It sounds crazy, and I never really believed it until I started doing it. But even when you start something, price yourself higher than almost your peers, I would say. Not like thousands of dollars, but when comparing portfolios, say you're going from photography into pregnancy photo shoots, family photo shoots, you might think, oh, I have to drop my price point because, it's less time on the day and it's less time in post-production, all of these stuff, all these excuses that you're making to price yourself lower. But when someone's looking for photographers and they see someone who's maybe $2,000 for a photo shoot and you're here at $4,000 a photo shoot, they'll probably have that conversation with themselves and be like, oh, well, this person is like better. And, these are once in a lifetime photos. The experience is going to be better. So anyways, I'm a huge advocate on pricing yourself higher.
Yeah. I've been internally battling because as you brought up before we started recording was that I'm doing surprise proposal photography, right? And I have that internal debate myself of it's not a long session. It's not a ton of work. It is high pressure. I have my price, but I could easily raise the price.
Yeah.
But I fight it because I'm like, am I still going to get bookings if I raise the price? I've raised it once so far.
And how'd that go?
And I still get bookings. So that's why, like, I'm thinking, like, I've got one coming up on this Friday, and I'm like, I think after this, I'm raising it, going up another $200, and like slowly going to start raising more and more. So.
There was a photographer recently, Jennifer Mower. She's also from Canada, and she said something not like intelligent, and I was like, that makes so much sense. And it basically was like, if you're for weddings, for example, if you're fully booked this year or booked to a point that you're happy and you already have maybe almost like half of the bookings booked for 2026 or less than half, it's a really good indicator that you should increase your price point. If you are not in that position, then you should really take a moment and like self-assess your work. So like I do a lot of grid curations, but with that I do a lot of like, I look at people's portfolios and their websites and their Instagrams. And if you aren't booking, it's usually not a pricing thing. It's when a bride comes to your page or a planner, they're looking at you and maybe 10 other people. It's like, what about your work stands you apart? Even if you're more expensive, that's not going to be what doesn't get you a booking. It's going to be, how do you present your work? How do you present your website? I personally find there's a lot of photographers that have weak websites. There's too much writing and it takes too much effort to navigate to what people want to find out. They want to see a portfolio and they want to figure out how to contact you or see your price point. I always like starting at 7,000 so that they know you can weed out who can access you and who can't immediately without wasting your time or their time. But yeah, when it comes to like the booking component, it's a little bit off track, but I would say like if you aren't booking at that price point, you really have to self-assess and like look at your work and be like, could I do better grid curations? Can I have a better website? Even like a bio. Like I recently did a grid curation for a client and she has all these like accolades like the WED, Brides Magazine, and she doesn't even have them pinned at the top. And I'm like, as a viewer coming onto your page, like it is like very crucial for you to have those pinned because it immediately will set you apart from your competition. Like you are going to look like a more of a experienced, more like elite, like all of these things, all these like psychological components that happen when someone's looking at a bride's looking at your portfolio and your work. But
that's noticeable in yours. Your 3 pins are accolades like that, and you're
like I'm not like, and like what's amazing for those for me is like the Vogue one was for free because I shot the Ambani thing and then an image got leaked and it ended up in Vogue India. And even though I didn't get an artist credit, and I emailed them, I emailed Vogue. I'm like, listen, it's still my image. I'm going to pin it because it's good for business. Like it's good for people to see when they come to my page that I had an image in Vogue. And like the WED, like we all know that a lot of it is like a pay for play thing, but the WED had reached out to me they wanted to showcase that editorial. And I'm like, great, I'm going to use this as an excuse to pin that. And then this year, like Whimsical put me in their list of like world's best. And like, obviously it's a very, who's making these lists? It's so subjective. And it is so subjective and it's such a weird thing. But I'm like, I'm using this as an excuse to put like, in my bio, I think it says like world's best like photographer. I don't even know. It's super cocky and arrogant, but I'm like, it's good for business. Like it says,
name top wedding photographer in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that's crazy. But I'm putting it in my bio because at the end of the day, for business, when someone's coming to my page, I want these keywords or these accolades there so I can run it parallel next to a price point, to an experience, to deliverables, so that it all like comes together. Like it's crazy. Like when I was putting that in my bio, I'm like literally barfing in my mouth. I was like, I'm like, this is crazy. But I'm like, I have to do it. I'm like, I just.
It's part of the marketing thing. It's like, yes, that it's, the list could have been made by anybody, right? But your clients have no idea, and they're going to see it as a social proof, an accolade, and they're going to be like, that's badass, and it works.
Yeah. And it's just crazy. And like, it's crazy too, because like with like the editorials that get shared in like the WED or Whimsical or like WED Vibes, like these are things that I actually do like on my own time. Like I curate editorials at home and I work with like locals and we all collab together. It's just like everyone's putting in time, and besides buying food for the team, like it's no money spent on my end, but I have a vision and I curate these shoots, and I know that these magazines are going to like them. And they'll reach out to me and they're like, hey, can you send us the link to this? We want to put it on because it's beneficial to them. It's beneficial to me. But like, especially coming in this space, I wasn't getting those types of bookings because I was new. I wasn't at a higher price point. So I started creating the type of client that I wanted to attract. And a lot of these editorials and a lot of these things that have allowed our name to climb in the industry has been through making my own editorials at home and like working with locals. So that was definitely intentional. But the whole Instagram game, it's just one, I don't know how you describe it. Like it's just how you present yourself, and people will romanticize like when like you thought I was from the UK, like you're romanticizing my brand. And I'm like, no, like I'm a hobo. I live in like a country bum town in like Canada. Like, but like it's all of this like illusion, and it's not an illusion in terms of deliverables and the customer service and the experience we provide for our client, but the branding is certainly this like elevated experience. That's business, baby.
Speaking of brand, as we wrap this up, Koko, I'd love for you to share, and it'll be in the show notes, but if you can please share where listeners can learn more about you, connect with you, and of course see your incredible photography.
I mean, Instagram.
Duh.
For sure. Instagram, I think like the biggest level of connection is like for my Instagram subscribers. I post educational videos every Tuesday, and we have like a really active chat. It's called Behind the Lens. And like every day we're just talking, and people ask me whatever they want. I give them like the nitty gritty, like behind the scenes actions, like all the kind of raw, honest stuff. And that's probably the best way. I mean, I feel like a safe space in the sense that I just want to help people find more creativity, and I want people to feel more comfortable about the insecurities they might have coming into this space. There's like so many things that people don't talk about. There's so much, what's it called? Like when imposter syndrome, like even especially us, like when we had to increase when we started to increase our price point, I felt really afraid because there's a lot of people in this industry that I respect who've like paid their dues, 10, 15 years. And I'm like, I can't charge the same amount as them. Like they've been doing it longer. And then finally enough people were like, your stuff is, if not good, it's better. Like, you have to increase your price. You have to increase your price.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but just talking to people about the same fears and insecurities that I've had, that we've had, and it's just a safe space.
Yep. Love it.
Judgment
Love
free.
it. Yep. Well, thank you so much for hopping on, for chatting with me, for sharing all this information and all this knowledge with all the listeners. I know that everybody's gonna really, walk away and feel inspired. And
Thank you. Thanks for having. It's my first official podcast. So
fun. I'm honored that I was the first. So,
good luck with the renewal of the wedding. 15 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a question before we go. What's the secret? 15 years
Yeah. Well, she's the boss.
I feel like Robert would say the same thing.
You have been listening to the Workflows Photography Podcast. To hear more from Workflows, to learn more about our guest, and for an exclusive offer for Workflows listeners, please go to workflowspodcast.com. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.